Tempest here at Anime Next. I'm here with Scott Melzer and Mike Wall, who are two of the people responsible for This Is Otakudom, Steam, and Fanboy Soze, their newest work. I have a few questions for them today, and let's get started.
No pictures, no pictures.
Yeah, we're actually here, yeah.
Yes, they're actually here in the flesh. It's amazing. So what brought the group together for This Is Otakudom?
Well, we were a mix. The first tier were my own personal friends, of course, and then we grew out from there. I was a music video creator at the time, and I was a real big fan of fan parodies, and as soon as the technology increased to the point where we could make them, I got a bunch of friends together and said, hey, you guys want to make a fan parody? And they all said, the hell are you talking about? So I pulled out one of my favorites, which is a fan parody about making fan parodies. I thought that would be kind of a good gateway drug so they would understand what I'm talking about, and we played that for them. Now understand that at the time, fan parodies were shown in small, tiny rooms, maybe 20 people in them, none of whom have bathed, and so I wasn't expecting this to be a really big thing. Now you say fan parody, people think of bridge shows and millions of views and stuff like that. But this was very much I want all my friends to pitch in hours after hours after hours, and pretty much we're the only ones who are going to see it. Then as it started to grow, I reached into the pool of otaku that I saw all the time. I used to own an anime, games, and comics book store. And so there were otaku walking in and out all the time. And so I would grab people and say, hey, I'm working on this film, would you like to help? And we're just random people, they were the clients that I knew better, but...
I was actually one of them. my whole approach to this was sort of a shotgun effect, because I had just started getting into anime myself. I was 15 years old, and, you know, Scott's shop was right around the corner from where I lived, and so he started showing me not only music videos, but also all these fan parodies, and I was like, "Oh, that's really cool! I really want to participate." And
that sucker.
Yeah, and now here I am.
10 years later.
10 years later, yeah.
That actually brings up an excellent point. How did word spread about This Is Otakudom and your
While we were making it, or afterwards? Which do you mean?
I know that This Is Otakudom kind of became huge underground with different anime fans.
But there is no overground in anime fandom.
But how did word spread? Did you make a website for it, or?
No, it was a complete and utter shock. As I said, I really thought that, because my experience was 20 or 30 people, and you would make it on tape, and then somebody would make a copy of that tape, and somebody would make a copy of that tape. Plus, I mean, my ego, or non-existent ego, is maybe a few people would find this amusing, but I did not think it would be popular. Like, I'm worshiping all the people who came before me, and I'm desperately trying to find their stuff, but I didn't think anyone would treat us that way. And then we basically were giant whores. And
yeah, we a lot of it was just word of mouth. You know, while we were at conventions, we were shouting out to people, "Hey, come see our fan parody."
Yeah, we ran around at conventions. There's a little scene in this Otakudom where there's a guy standing saying, "Come see our fan parody. Oh, come on, please." That's me doing my own voice.
Scott as himself.
Making fun of us doing that. Because we did that at a test screening, and then later added that scene in. And then from there, we would walk around with flyers. Like now you would do rave cards. But at that time, we were walking around like, come see our fan parody, come see our fan parody. And we just really, really tried to get people to go. I also sent out a form letter to other conventions begging them to show our stuff. And 2 out of 10 actually showed it, which was amazing. And I'm very, very pleased to say that we were the feature film at the very first anime convention in New Zealand. As freaky cool as that is, and random, someone from there somehow heard about us, contacted us. But we had no website, we had nothing. And then a year or so in, one of our guys who had he was able to do websites at school, put one up just about Otakudom, and so I guess some of the word spread through that. But I am so internet not savvy at all. There's a word for it, and I don't know it, proving my point.
But we're working on it.
We are working on it. YouTube channel and all that stuff. There's nothing there, because we don't know how to put stuff on there.
Well, there might be stuff out there by the time this gets out.
Fair enough.
Yeah, besides that, you are in contact with the people who did Dragon Ball Z Abridged, so they could probably help you out with that.
Oh, lots of people out there can help us. Maybe they don't like us very much.
So the group that did This Is Otakudom, a good number of them, or did all of them go on to do Steam and Fanboy Soze?
Probably a handful, actually. There were probably, I think, about 150 people working on Otakudom total, but
work might be a strong word.
Yeah, that could range anywhere from writing, voice acting. Most of the data wrangling was done by Scott.
Yep. But This Is Otakudom was made by a core group of about 5 or 6 people, and a lot of the other people who came in were just doing voices. I was asking people in my shop for footage, for ideas on things. Hey, do you think this is funny? Do you think that's funny? So when we say there's that many people working on it, it was a huge project where a ton of people had input, but only about maybe a dozen people were kind of at the core. However, it took a long, long time between films. So while This Is Otakudom almost physically killed me, lack of sleep, exhaustion, all of that, I was told you are taking a break. You are taking a year before you do something else. Otherwise, we're not going to help you, which is the best threat that anybody can make. Like, withholding help is the number one, not like, we're going to kill you. I'm like, no, you won't. Like, I'm not going to come over at 3 a.m. and help you record. Oh, please, 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 please. So we really had a problem where there was a big time gap. Now, Princeton is where I was set up, and it's where a lot of my friends were. So most of the people there were either going to the high school, and they're going to graduate, or they're going to the university, and they're going to graduate. So pretty much every year, I lost a quarter of my friends. So if you didn't live in the area, like you're a townie, then between Otakudom, which was in 2001, and Steam, which is in 2005, you probably moved on.
I guess that's why I stuck on, because I ended up going from high school in Princeton to college in Princeton.
Yep. So to be in our group, in all of our films, you have to be pretty lame. Local.
Yeah, that's what you mean, yeah.
Fortunately, you can edit.
How have when you set out to make a fan parody, what is your ultimate goal, and how has that goal changed over the years?
This is probably going to sound very surprising, but I have a life philosophy. Sounds a lot like a Boy Scout, which is always make a place better, or always leave a place better than when you got there. Really, I have a life philosophy. I'm not making this up. I always want to try to make things around me better. Whether it makes me a hippie or whatever it is, I don't know. But when I was making This Is Otakudom, I wanted to essentially have a love letter to fandom. I was heavily involved in the AMV community, and there was a lot of sniping. There was a lot of competition. I hate this person. That person's a jerk. And I have an arch nemesis, and a guy who's treated me like crap and all that sort of stuff. But when somebody kicks you when you're down, you can do one of two things. You can say, I was kicked, I'm going to do the same thing. Or you can say, I'm learning from that experience. I didn't like that. I don't want others to. So my goal for This Is Otakudom was a love letter to fandom where people would watch it and be basically warmed and say, wow, cosplayers shouldn't hate AMV creators, shouldn't hate fanfic writers. No, I threw everybody out there and kind of lampooned them. But if you notice, there's very, very little negative humor. No one puts anyone else down. Rather, I'm trying to show, yes, we're silly and we're funny and we do all these goofy things, but I wanted us to come together, build a community, be proud of ourselves. And in a very strong way, that has not changed. The ending song in Fanboy Soze is a love letter to fandom. So it's all, I'm out to make friends, I'm out to get people to laugh, but I want a big part to be, I'm a fan, I'm proud, I feel really great for having seen this. I'm going to let some of that negativity slide, even if it's only for a little bit. And don't pirate your anime.
Yeah, I was about to say, in a general theme in all of our parodies is don't bootleg. I mean, sure, we mention it a lot, but it's, usually on the side of the evil guys. In Steam, the evil team was funded by bootleggers. So we're trying to be like, don't do that.
Bootlegging anime merchandise leads to James Bond-style villains almost destroying the world. Stop the madness, people! Don't download your anime! As I flood your microphone, sorry.
That's fine. Actually, 91.8 is completely on the same side as you guys as far as bootlegging goes.
That's why I'm still talking to you.
That's why we're friends.
Oh, that's why.
I thought it was that I was wearing a Yowie shirt yesterday and you felt safe.
Oh, God.
Notice the massive amounts of lying that I do.
Anyway, what inspires you to continue? What inspired you to make fan parodies to begin with, and what inspires you to continue making fan parodies?
Well, the world still sucks, so we haven't finished the Making the World a Better Place mission. Gotta keep going.
You could argue that it's fun.
I could. What made me want to do it back then is very different from what made me want to do it now. Back then, I was very involved in anime fandom. I owned an anime store. I saw otaku all the time. I thought it was really fun. I wanted to get more involved. I was making AMVs and then going to the contest and watching them. I started winning contests, which is pretty sweet. You know, even though I have very little ego, man, when someone pays attention to you, it still feels really good. And I don't want to say I got addicted to that, but what I really, really wanted to do was kind of take that podium that I had where a few people were paying attention to me and get some of those ideas out there. Kind of like the Beatles, where they did all their popular songs, really pop stuff, and then when they were big enough, they could then do whatever they want. So that's kind of what we started having, that opportunity to be able to get more of a message out there. Now, I have a career. I mean, unfortunately, the store closed, and I have a career where I wear a suit. I talk to people about very, very serious stuff and taxes and investments and all that sort of stuff. So I am now doing this as more of a hobby. I need a break from that. I like to be an actor. I like to make something creative. But I still want to have the same goal of let's all get along. And I had a couple people after the premiere on Friday come up and say, wow, that song was so beautiful. That I said, well, how do you feel about being a fan? Like, I'm so proud to be a fan now. And I went, win!
That was perfect, yeah.
Exactly what I wanted.
And I think a lot of it, I mean, especially for me, I just love the idea of, tons and tons of people being in a room and seeing something that I was a part of and just seeing them laugh and hearing them laugh as well. And just having them enjoy it so much and being able to go up and see the screen like, I did that, I was a part of that, and it just made a lot of people happy.
And then have girls interview you.
Yes, and
sweet!
Now, as far as your audience goes, what sort of audience did you make This Is Otakudom for versus the audience that you made Fanboy Soze for?
Well, I think for Otakudom, we tried to cover all our bases. Because, the parody is about a whole bunch of fans going to their first convention, we tried to, okay, here's the shoujo fan, here's the hentai fan, here's the Bishonen fan. We tried to cover everything that...
One of them has got to like us.
Yeah. So we try to make everything for everyone a little bit so that, everyone can relate.
My thought is the audience is the same, exactly the same, except much bigger. We did not think this would be shown anywhere. We thought it would just be shown at Otakon, which is why we have Otakon so prevalently in it. It's my home con. It was the first anime con that I went to, so I was kind of giving a little thank you back to the con. But only 20 people once are going to see it. So that was the audience I had in my mind when we were recording it, but I'm a perfectionist. Looking at any of my AMVs, like, that guy's a nitpicky perfectionist. Far more than actually serves the purpose of doing something good. I'll just keep going. So even though we thought it was only going to be shown to a few people, or we would make copies and give them to each other, and that would be about it, I still tried to make it as clean and good and well-timed and all of that as I possibly could. Look as good as possible, using DVD footage where we could, laser discs where we could, and I am so glad that we did, because I've seen it on 25-foot screens, and I've seen 1,000 people in the audience watching it. So while we didn't shoot for that, that it happened, great. The current people are watching this stuff on the internet. Millions of people are watching a bridge series. So I'm thinking totally different now. People around the world are going to see it.
I have one last question for you. Do you know what your next fan parody is going to be about?
No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
We have a couple ideas that we're throwing around, but as far as what we're actually going to do, it's all up in the air.
But we have some ideas that we basically had either after Otakudom all the way up to now. We keep every idea. I would love to do a space opera. I would love to do a musical. I can't sing. I have absolutely no musical talent, so it's definitely going to be a challenge. I don't want to do an abridged series. That gets asked a lot. Mostly because I can't every month a new episode come out. I can't even get people to answer my emails, let alone they come every single weekend and put a show together. I can't do it. In my career, I just can't do it. But there's a lot of stuff we want to. We want to do a hentai parody. We have held back and kept it PG-13 every single time, which means, and guys, you'll recognize this more than women, it's bottled up and has to come out. So we've been writing a lot of these, X-rated jokes down that we do, but oh no, we can't use those. So a whole bunch of ideas we want, but there's nothing that is definite.
Okay. Is there a website where we can see any of your AMVs?
Well, if you go to animemusicvideos.org, I do have the channel there. I use my real name, Scott A. Melzer, so animemusicvideos.org, and you can see. I think there's one or two that aren't there because they only exist on tape, and really bad tape. But that's a good place to find those. We are working on being a little bit more web savvy. As I said, YouTube channel, Facebook page, all that stuff is in the works. We do not have our own website, but we do want to at some point. I'm just trying to get the DVD of Fanboy Soze out there. And all of our DVDs are downloadable. If you do a search for our forum, you will find links there.
And what is the website for your forum?
That is nonde.whatyoulookingat.com, which is NONDE.WHATCHULOOKINGAT.com. I think I got that right.
All right. Thank you so much, Scott and Mike, for everything today.
No problem.
Thank you.